Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Okay, 20 years ago, I went home for the holidays and discovered my mother had been diagnosed with cancer. It was devastating. My mother was hit by a car earlier that year and received brain damage. Going through cancer treatment while still healing with a frankly incompetent partner was not going to work. I returned to university to basically pack it in and return home and care for her. My boyfriend at the time had not picked up any of my calls. Before cell phones were popular, so understandable. I thought it was weird, but he was working 2 jobs at the time. It was New Year's Eve by the time I got him on the phone, and he wanted me to go out with him and his friends. I told him I had some really bad news, and that I might have to move an hour away for the foreseeable future. I had not been sleeping and did not feel well enough to go. I wanted to tell him about my mom in person. He got mad. I told him my mother's diagnosis and that I really did not feel like partying. He said, and I quote, "Well, I want to go out and have my girlfriend with me." No, I'm sorry, no comfort. Just the demand that I go out bar hopping with his friends. He had never acted like this. We had been dating for 8 months. I told him he should go find her. I hung up, deleted my email, unplugged, and packed my phone. I was gone 5 days later. The world turned. My mom got better. I returned to university roughly a year later. Finished my degree and got a job. But it is a small town, and I ended up working with his relative. Years had passed, and I moved my mom in with me. Everyone knew me as a devoted daughter and hard worker. His relative, great uncle, asked me if I had dated his brother's grandson, and I told him yes. He lamented I never joined the family and asked why. I tried to say we just grew apart, but he called my bluff. I told him my mother's diagnosis and the relationship did not survive me having to leave to care for her. He grunted. We never spoke about it again. I never was curious about what happened to my ex, and years passed. Then 3 days ago, it reared its ugly head. I was at the checkout at the grocery store. Remember, this is a small town. Who is behind me? His mother. I did not even recognize her, but she was overly fake friendly at me. She got out her phone and began to try and show me pictures of my ex's wife, their kid, and their dog. I was politely interested and was properly politely impressed for her sake while unloading my cart. Wish them all the best. She then sneers, "It could have been yours if you hadn't messed up." Completed with villainous eyebrow raise. I told her I did not know what the heck she was talking about. I explained my mom got sick. I left to care for her. We broke up. End of story. If she didn't believe me, I told her to ask her relative, or a young woman who had been a mutual friend of ours. The mutual friend reached out to me when social media became popular and wanted to tell me she was sorry how the situation had gone down, as she was one of the friends he had gone out with that night. I had thanked her for her well wishes and told her sometimes bad things happen. I left the store and wrote it all off. Then today I get a DM from the ex. He is furious at me for outing his behavior to his mother. Told him, "Not my monkey, not my circus." Then blocked him. But I just had to know what has happened. So I contacted the mutual, who was more than happy to tell me the tea. Evidently, the ex had told everyone I had broken his heart by cheating on him. He had milked the story for sympathy. He even made the story part of the lore behind getting with his wife. How she was the kind-hearted soul who proved to him not all women were backstabbing cheaters. She got a DM from his mom, who is one of her in-laws. Evidently, she married his brother a decade ago. She told her the truth, the call, his behavior, him explaining that my mom's diagnosis was just too much drama. She evidently also called her relative, and he explained I was known for caring for my mother, who had a multitude of medical issues, for many years. This had evidently led to her calling her son to bawl him out for lying about it for all these years. This was evidently all my fault. So, am I the A for not keeping this guy's secret? Update: Jesus Christ. I'm in the wedding video, or at least the tale of evil me is. So chilling here when I get a message from a name I don't quite remember. But I look, and it is one of the friend group of my ex. We will call him Mike. Mike and I went to the same university but had vastly different majors. So evidently, Mutual contacted Mike to gossip about my ex. It seems X hired Mike to do his wedding video, and they had a falling out when he was never paid. He told me he knew why X was so freaking mad, then sent me a video clip. It is X giving a speech at his wedding about how she was his savior, healing his rendered heart, and bringing back the light that had been extinguished by heartless others. They married years after we broke up. He was still using this story for sympathy years later. Mike said that he never believed the entire cheating cover story and wished me well. To answer your question, Mike is a self-confessed digital hoarder. He kept all his beginning work. Being an A would be actively going out of your way. Based on this, the mom could not let the past go and brought it up based on the lie from her son. Go on with your life. Lying never pays, as he found out 20 years later. So, not the a-hole. This is just karma showing up. Admittedly, it would have been better had it shown up 2 decades earlier, but better late than never. Not the a-hole. And it seems like you dodged a bullet, as he is a huge jerk. I have been dating my fiancé for around 2 years, engaged for 1. Before me, he was with his ex for nearly 10 years. They were high school sweethearts and dated till their 20s. It's no secret that his family likes her more than they do me, whatever. But recently, something happened that has me livid. His grandma died, and of course she left inheritance behind. When he arrived to the will reading, she was there. Okay, no biggie. She got a chunk of her money, which rubbed me the wrong way. But what took the cake is her getting his grandma's former engagement ring. I felt so disrespected, specifically because he seemed unfazed. He didn't even blink. I was floored. She also didn't have the decency to decline the item out of respect. She just took it. I waited till we were home and asked him why he didn't say anything. He said it was his Grammy's will and that it didn't matter either way. The way I see it is that he is still letting his ex run the show and let her trample all over me. We got in a fight, and I said I have to rethink our marriage. Am I really in the wrong here? This is not about you. The woman that died gets to decide where her stuff goes. How disrespectful do you have to be to feel entitled to a dead person's things when they didn't say it should go to you? I can't imagine why they like her better. Yes, the a-hole. Yes, the a-hole. You're pretty entitled, aren't you? This is his grandmother's last will and testament. If she wanted his ex to have something, then it's hers. I'm beginning to see why his family might not be too fond of you. Edit. It's so much worse knowing they have a daughter together. Yes, the a-hole. I understand your jealousy about the situation, but it was his grandmother's will. It's not his place to demand it back, really, as much as you want it to be. I get that it's awkward that the ex is around, but you have to understand that your fiancé and her dated for 10 years. His family, I'm sure, grew attached to her as a person, not just a girlfriend, and she means something to them. It's not necessarily a slight to you. Here's where you become the a-hole. The way I see it is that he is still letting his ex run the show and let her trample all over me. We got in a fight, and I said I have to rethink our marriage. Your fiancé has no control over what his dead grandma put in her will. I get the feelings you have, but if this situation is causing you to rethink our marriage, then there might be more problems here than you realize. If you love your fiancé, why does a ring matter? I apologize for this, but I really wish to understand if I am wrong and how I can rectify it. I am a single mother and have tried to provide for my kids the moment they were born. I am not the perfect mother, but I tried my best. My son was incredibly hardworking and talented. He helped me a lot as I was raising them. He does very well for himself. He has a good job, a house, and a loving family. My daughter, unfortunately, had a learning disability. She too is a great child, but because of this problem found school life very difficult. She made bad decisions and has 3 children ages 12 female, 11 female, and 7 male. She only receives child support for the youngest, and it is really little. After her youngest was born, she really took a change of heart and began working honestly. She doesn't make a lot now, but she is trying her best to be a good mother, and I am especially proud of her. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with leukemia, and I do not have much time left. My son was doing very well for himself, and my daughter and grandchildren lived with me. I do not have a lot to my name, other than my house and an insurance policy. I told my son that I would be drafting up a will and giving it to them, but he could have anything of sentimental value. I wanted to give him my mother's wedding ring and china set. My son was very unhappy and argued that because he was doing well in life, he shouldn't get less and how I preferred his sister. I tried to make him see reason, but I could not. He stormed off and called me an a-hole. A few weeks later, his wife came to me and told me they were moving to the West Coast. Her parents had gifted them a large house, and he got a very good job opportunity on the West Coast. I felt terrible that I could not do the same for him, and hoped, since he was getting from his in-laws what he could not get from me, he may have forgiven me. Before he left, he came to me and asked me to write him out of the will. He said he wanted nothing to do with me and wanted nothing from me. He told me to put $100 in his name so he wouldn't contest, and he would return that money to my daughter. I didn't stop crying for hours and begged him not to go and we could work this out. This was the last time I've talked to him. My grandson just turned 6, and my daughter showed me pictures of his birthday party with his friends and family. My son looked so happy, and it hurt me. I also miss my grandchildren dearly. I don't have a lot of time left, and I feel I am going to leave without reconciling with my son. So, am I the a-hole? Yes, the a-hole. Your daughter is leeching off of you. She needs to learn how to take care of herself, how to balance a checkbook, how to budget. You giving her all of your money is feeding into her laziness. Here's the thing. You say she's irresponsible, so you give her everything. She now has 3 kids she can't take care of because, again, you give her everything. If you keep enabling her, she will never learn to take care of herself or her kids. Yes, the a-hole. You have ruined your relationship with your son and hurt him grievously, all for the crime of having his crap together. You can't treat one child differently than another for any reason and expect things to be hearts and roses after. Update. After reading all the comments, I've come to the conclusion that I am wrong. I have coddled my daughter and allowed her to make these poor choices without consequence. While this will hurt her, I must do right by my son. I will amend the will and split everything in half. This may not be enough to gain his favor, but I believe it is the right thing to do. My father passed away several years ago due to cancer. He had businesses and property in 2 states and no will. In one of the states, it goes by default to the wife. But in the other state, heirs are all granted an equal percentage of assets. I wasn't made aware of this at the time and assumed that everything would go to my mother, which seemed fine. Ultimately, I discovered that my brother forged mine and my sister's signature and used a friend's notary seal to sign away mine and my sister's portion of the estate while keeping his. The total assets in the state where this occurred were worth around $750,000 to $1 million at the time. This fraud went undetected for some time until he bragged about owning a significant share of the business. My mother claims that she had no idea that he would do this and was assured that it wouldn't happen by him. I fell into some financial hardships due to a failed marriage, bad spending, and the virus. It's not a great situation, and I take the blame for it. I told my family about 18 months ago that I was going to have to file for bankruptcy, as there was little way of trying to catch up, especially with losing my job. My mom promised me that they would help me out and to not file. They've been trying to sell some of the assets, but are having difficulty. Their buyer has basically been stringing them along for nearly 3 years now. It doesn't help that the businesses have been run into the ground and that the property values in the area are falling. I've pleaded ever since my dad died to sell the assets, but generally got overruled. I should also point out that my brother ran the businesses after my dad died and has been far from successful. He also promised to buy out my mother from the business when he won over $1 million in a personal lawsuit. Instead, he quickly blew through the money and didn't follow through. The money promised to me was far less than what I was entitled to through inheritance as well. Since the money was promised to me, I've tried to be patient. It's been a struggle to meet the minimum payments, but I've done it. The other day I called for an update on the sale as I've not heard any news. Basically, there are no signs that this deal is even close to being finalized, as there haven't been any appraisals done, a closing date set, or anything of the like. This upset me quite a bit as I was hoping to have the money before starting grad school next month. Ultimately, I told her that friends said to me that I should lawyer up at this point, that I should contest the deed, and the way the property was exchanged. My mother can't understand why I would be upset that my brother took his portion of the inheritance and signed away the other children's. Am I the a-hole for being upset that my brother forged multiple signatures and took his portion of an estate? Not the a-hole, but your brother will likely be arrested and charged with various crimes from forged onward. You will lose that relationship, and possibly with your mother, based on what you have said. It wouldn't surprise me. Call a lawyer immediately, and do not make any attempt to speak to your brother, unless advised to do so by said lawyer. While he is your brother, he has cost you a lot. Had you had that money, things could have played out much differently, even with you saving the marriage. He's living the high life off your back, illegally I might add. Not the a-hole. Your brother literally committed a crime by forging your signatures to give away your late father's inheritance. Your brother also helped duck up your financial life, not helping you at all through your hardships, and not selling the assets. So it's obvious who the a-hole is. To paint a picture, my parents divorced when I was very young. They both got new relationships, and I never really got on with one of my step-parents, who used to pick on me. I was a very small child, saying things like I was ugly, I would be pretty if I changed this or that about myself, and the parent didn't really do anything about it. Saying stuff like, that is just the way they are, just accept it, stuff like that. Without going too much into details, that parent plus the step-parent played favorites, a lot, and it resulted in me having a diagnosed inferiority complex, depression, and a plethora of other things that apparently are normal for children whose parents used to play favorites. Now, on to the relevant part. When my sibling went to college, they paid for everything. That sibling does not have study debts. In the agreement with my other parent, they were supposed to split what they had saved for college over the both of us, but I never saw a cent of this money. Then I went away for college, and they never spent a single cent on me. The neglect was not only financial, but also emotional. I know I shouldn't really have expected my parent to be all loving all of a sudden, but even though I already rung the bell, saying that if they continue to treat me the way they do, the situation is no longer tenable for me. Since my birthday in 2019, that parent has spontaneously contacted me once. And I say spontaneously because the other times were either at what time I would come by on a birthday, or that I owed them money for using my public transport card. I recently found out that in my country, parents are obligated to support their child until they turn 21. The obligation doesn't just stop at 18. And I could very easily send a debt collector their way to collect the few thousand they should have supported me with in the first place, 'cause money accumulates over time. I checked with a legal company, so I know that legally I am in the clear. They clearly have the money to spend on extravagant gifts for their other children, and it isn't like I am asking for more than what I am legally owed, and way less than they spend on my other sibling. I am pretty sure, though, that if I do it, I would be the ultimate devil in their eyes, and the relationship is over forever, which I am fine with, but it could put the sibling I have contact with in a difficult situation. So, would I be the a-hole? Small edit. As opposed to my sibling, I did have to take out student loans, and I am thousands in debt. Suing my parents wouldn't make these debts disappear, but they would significantly diminish them. Not the a-hole. You have no relationship with them now, and if you need help one day, you will not be able to turn to them. Take the money and put it in an AC rainy day fund. Also, there is usually a statute of limitation, so make sure you don't let that expire. Your other siblings saw what they did and should understand. Do what you have to do to finish your education. If that means suing them, then do so. If that means cutting off all ties with them, then do so. They have already established a pattern of behavior that you must know will not change. So what have you got to lose? At least get a good education out of this situation, and then live by the motto, the best revenge is living well. My mother-in-law is a strange woman. She is pretty mean, and she seems incapable of doing most normal things, such as taking on a matriarch role, being a grandmother, inviting her new daughter-in-law into the family, etc. That being said, she is somewhat aware that this isn't normal, and she feels guilty and tries to make up for it with extravagant gifts. I am pregnant. Mother-in-law could not be less interested. She also didn't invite us to Christmas, has plans to be out of the country when I am due, and hasn't seen her son in person in maybe 9 or 10 months for no real reason. Mother-in-law did mention that she would buy us everything for the nursery for Christmas. I was in shock. She bought us thousands worth of baby furniture. To be clear, I don't feel that we are taking advantage of her. She has admitted that she feels bad that we don't get along, and that she isn't interested in trying. She even said once the only thing she can give her son is money, so please, just take it. Well, my mom saw mother-in-law's boyfriend on Christmas at about 10 p.m. at a CVS and began harassing him and demanding to know if he left mother-in-law, because CVS is totally the place a new single man would go. Mother-in-law's boyfriend can be kind of ridiculous and started cussing my mom out. My mom and her friend followed him through CVS and continued to ask him about mother-in-law and say demeaning stuff about how he must just want S because she has nothing else to offer. He kind of has anger issues and began cussing them, calling them fat witches, saying really below-the-belt stuff. My mom video called me crying and I was tired and confused and told him to apologize. I didn't really get what was going on, but I don't like how him and mother-in-law always bring up people's bodies. So I just said to say sorry and move on. Mother-in-law was pissed and called my husband and called me ungrateful. My husband said we don't fully get how bad the situation was, and my mom was out of line. My husband did say that mother-in-law's boyfriend has some issues he needs to work through, and he can't act like that. This isn't the first time he has come to her defense by going nuclear. Mother-in-law called him an a-hole and returned all of the gifts. I called my mom in tears and said she did this. She has been told so many times to leave this man alone, and she is the reason mother-in-law went back on her promise. My mom said she was sorry and she has issues with peer pressure and going along with her friends. I said sorry doesn't do crap, and if she really wants to make it right, she needs to replace everything mother-in-law returned. Yes, the a-hole, but not for the reason you think. Your mom followed and harassed someone for no real reason, and then you apologized for her victim retaliating because she absolutely deserved it. Sounds like your mother-in-law isn't around a lot because your mom is toxic as duck. And rather than hold her accountable, you and her son allow it and are rude about her to boot. I wouldn't want to be around you or give you presents either. Everyone sucks here. How about you tell your mom to stay in her lane and she's cut off? Apologize to mother-in-law and tell her you only heard one side and you are sorry for not getting the full story. Don't qualify it any more than that. Then you go buy your own damn baby furniture like most people do. You've been taught a lesson here. Your mom is honestly worse than mother-in-law. Maybe mother-in-law isn't interested in your pregnancy, and that's okay. She's not ruining your marriage or crap-talking you. Go over to Just Know Mother-in-law and see the crap mother-in-laws do. Your mom is the one with the problem. Why does she care about what your mother-in-law and her boyfriend do? And to confront him in public and then bring up their S-life? Who the hell does that? It's a bad Maury Povich episode. Your mom is the a-hole.